Yeah, so I mean, I'd love to hear a little bit about, I guess, your relationship with labs, how long you've been around, what you've learned, how
Yes,
many offsites you've had. When you say that you're self-organizing, what does that mean? And then I
yes.
guess your hopes and aspirations for this offsite.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, thank you for all those questions. So I've been with ConsenSys for a year and 3 months, going on my fourth month. I started as the head of community and then quickly got into the global head of community role. I was the first community person hired by ConsenSys, and they didn't even know what community was. And I had to come and explain what community was. And to this day, I think they kind of understand it, but don't. But we actually build the pretty great structure for in the marketing team so people can know how to hire community folks, what salaries to give, what do they do from social media to events to actually strategy work. And I got to build a team around the world, 20 folks, EMEA, APAC, North America, South America, and got to do that successfully. And then really wanted to take my career next level, just learn new things. My growth was limited where I was, and I joined Labs 3 months ago. And that was a pretty long process of transition. But it happened, and now with Labs, my role is the head of experience. And in experience, anything from onboarding from spoke onboarding to proto spoke onboarding to building that experience for them, offering mentors, advisors, and that whole program structure. I'm working with Ron and Sean closely on trying to do that for us to roll out a program or multiple programs that strengthen our value proposition. And one of the major things is in my role is to strengthen the relationship of mesh with ConsenSys Labs, and for us to keep reintroducing our brand. So that's just a little bit about me and the work I've been doing, and then our vision for the retreat and came about. Ron wanted me to organize this retreat for us. And so we are doing it in Banff, Canada. It's going to be a little chilly, but it's a great place to get the team together. We are in mostly in New York, then a couple of folks in Canada, and then 2 folks in San Francisco. So not that much of a big time difference.
How many people in the team, in the labs team?
So we're 20 and going on 20 plus.
Mm.
There are a lot of folks coming on. Yes. And so basically the vision for the retreat is we sent out a survey, and I'm happy to share that if you'd like to take a look at it. So this way it offers a lot of insight. We can also share these documents that we're working on. And in really everything I do, I hope to create playbooks so then I can teach people how to do these things and they can go run with it, rather than that one person is needed to do the same thing again and again.
Yeah, absolutely. Building capacity is essential, right? So I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, so with the labs, objective was with our survey was to identify opportunities for the retreat and see how people wanted to spend time together. The survey, these were the 2 main things seems like the team wanted to get out of it. Because we're so remote and we're always heads down working on things. The team wanted to learn about each other through activities to increase our level of trust and ability to move fast. It was a team of 3 for a really long time, and it got to a team of 20 in just a matter of a couple of months. So anywhere from cross collaboration to communication, we don't have issues there, but I foresee them coming because I used to be on a team that grew really big, and it happened really fast, and then it took a while to fix it, and they still can't fix it. And then the second thing was to plan for the future, consider how we might grow and what are the best ways our efforts can build a better system. I've given them a couple of options. Of course, they want to have fun. They want to learn to communicate better. And all of these other things. So there's ties on best practices, gaining clarity on ConsenSys Labs mission and vision, wellness programs, continuing education, reflecting on the past, and how to work in a decentralized organization. So it seems like there were a couple of things, but the two major things that we took out of it for the team that we could actually deliver on, along with other things, were this. So we actually took that and then created an itinerary, and we have 3 full days with the team, 3.5 to 4 full days. They arrive on October 10. We just get them to relax. Maybe some people are jet lagged. It depends on where they're coming from, if it's San Francisco, if it's close by. And then we start on October 11. Like, there's an option to do yoga and meditation and get up, and because it's our retreat doesn't mean the rest of the company is not working. So they can take their time. There's free time to check your emails, feel like you're not like rushing to things. And we have 2 sessions every single day, and they're morning and afternoons. And then we end a bit early, and then there's always an activity, some sort of hiking, some sort of improv show, there's dinner. So we're leaving room enough for them to think and get perspective and not be back to back in things. So the structure is the same for all 3 days, with the timings of, and so we have a total of 6 sessions, and based on conversations with Ron Garrett, who leads ConsenSys Labs, and Sean Cheng, who also is one of the leaders that we look up to in the team. I'm having a conversation with them about the session breakdown today. So these are not confirmed, these are not set in stone. That's why we're getting our facilitators involved who have more experience in this than I do. But I've taken a couple of leadership workshops, and I've been with the company long enough to know, and looking at the survey, what we need, what we really, really need right now to go strong into 2019. And so I think we want the first 2 sessions to be somewhere where they can do their personal, they can get to know themselves, they can get to know their purpose, and as a team we can get to know each other's purpose. So they want to know each other, and this might be one of the activities, maybe it's not. Sean had recommended Myers-Briggs. There could be a core workshop that Jose did with me that I actually absolutely loved, and it gave me clarity in my career. And where I want to go possibly the same day could be labs history and what have we done so far and how far we have come, and actually talk about our achievements and feel proud of the things that we have done, which a lot of times get lost because we're moving so forward. And then I've just put the facilitators, when you mentioned self-organizing, like what does self-organizing mean to me? It actually means get everybody together in the same thing, and then actually having a facilitator who may not really know as much about the subject matter, but it's a great facilitator, and they get to bring individuals and everyone joins in the discussion. I might not have a great idea of self-organizing, so I have to learn something there, but that's my idea of it, and I'd love to learn more from you. And then really, session 3, how do we work better, feedback, accountability, communication workshops, hoping to chat with the people piece, and hoping to chat with like Will Grant and Ronnie, and a couple of their folks, if they're available, we don't know. And then I had personally done leadership, Dale Carnegie leadership course for 3 days, and they had a very systematic way of how do you give feedback, how do you hold each other accountable, how as a leader do you hold people like in your team accountable, and then how do you communicate it. And so they would teach you, they would have these methods, you would discuss it with the team, and then you'd actually do a role play. And I think role playing makes it real rather than always teaching something. And so everything is sort of a workshop, collaborative. We're going to learn something, and then we're going to come together as a team, do these exercises, and then we get to present it in that manner. But these are not fixed. I wanted to create some sort of a framework for Ron and Sean, because it was sort of like, hey, let's just do this retreat. And then, oh, okay, go make this programming. And I think it's more than just that. I think all the leaders have to come together to make this too. And so we're hoping to have a conversation with me, Nana, and them today to make sure that are we aligned on this? Is this something that they want to offer the team? I mean, this is something I think we should be doing, but there could be things that I'm missing. And then my hope is that it gets a little bit tiring because we've been facilitating so much and we have so many meetings that I think for the 3-day retreat, we were hoping that we could get a break. The leaders could also like get a break, all three of us, and we could have facilitators who could come and teach us. And then perhaps for the next time, we could have, and this could still be a self-organizing retreat, which it is without any facilitators. I know how to facilitate, Ron knows how to facilitate, Sean does. But a little bit of a break for the leaders to step back and be able to talk something new and not feel as though that they're always trying to get the team to come to a place. A third party would be great. So I'll just stop there with the vision and see what you think. I think you're mute, Susan.
I think it's clear that you've done a lot of thinking, and I think the vision is very compelling and very complete. I think that a few things that I noticed right off the bat is I feel like you're trying. I would invite you to maybe think about, especially in the session that you have with Ron and Nana today, is what do you want to be different at the end of the 3 days together? What actually do you want to be different? Do you want? And I get that the survey that you did kind of gave a few pointers to that. So one of the things is you want to feel more bonded as a team, and you also want to know what your strategy is to move forward together. I don't think the two are mutually exclusive, and I think that those two are really achievable. But I think doing a little bit more work around thinking about what actually will feel different. The other thing that I notice is I feel that you're trying to shove an awful lot into 2-hour sessions. So in my experience, 2-hour sessions will go very quickly, especially if you're switching context. By the time everybody gets into the room and settles and switches off their phone and tunes into the next exercise, really there's not a lot of time to go deep into what I think you've outlined as very profound and significant areas that are important to what you're trying to do moving forward. I think I also noticed that I don't have a sense of how clear you are around your current team agreements. So, for example, do you know how you make decisions together? Do you have a social contract? Do you know how you're measuring success? I feel like an offsite is the perfect time, especially when a new team is coming together, to get those fundamentals of how we want to be together really sensed into and felt. And I know that the impulse is always to go to best practice, what we know, some experiences we've had, because it's been meaningful to us in I guess previous incarnations. But I just invite you to really deeply think about, what does the team need, and is it, I'm totally hearing you as well, as like, how can we relax together and take the time face to face to actually sense into it without having too many preconceived ideas about what it is. But in order to do that, I think that you need to have a very sophisticated facilitator that knows how to not have a preconceived idea necessarily, but is able to has enough tools in their toolkit to be able to pull out what's needed in the moment to guide the conversation and scaffold the outcome. So I'm just going to pause there. I think I've just talked a lot as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I agree that we are packing too much, and I think that's the conversation I was hoping to have, and see what the other team members are thinking, because they might come say the same thing. So yeah, I want it to be fewer sessions and them to. I don't want to change the context all the time, but I want it to be consistent in the way they feel. So every day, I want them to. Yes, I want them to feel like we're moving towards improving and feeling different, just like you said. So by the end of it, that they feel like, oh, they've learned something, they've achieved, and there's a sense of that the things that we were moving towards, we have actually completed, or So definitely, I agree with you. We do need a sophisticated facilitator. That was the reason why I wanted to reach out to a couple of folks and see one who would be interested in, also who can actually help us with this, because I think it's the right time in the history of labs to do this. The team is extremely talented, willing, and open. I foresee a lot of really small things coming up that can get bigger, and I'm trying to make sure that, just like you said, what is our team agreement? And I think there is sort of a verbal team agreement, but I think it always feels as though we should know it. But I think it needs to be communicated, and it needs to be over communicated in many manners. So how we create that, I don't know, and I think I'd be interested to hear thoughts on, do we create that together, which I think it's important, and then we're aligned. So for me, we don't have set goals on certain things. We have OKRs, and we have really detailed OKRs for ConsenSys Labs. We do our monthly operating. We know how we're measuring success, but we do also need help we need to do better. Something that I'd noticed when I joined the team was that we were getting all these sub-teams to create their goals, but then we weren't giving them this larger vision of where are we moving towards. So this is ConsenSys. These are ConsenSys' business goals and values as a whole, which is very hard because we have like 5-6 different pillars that we run on, but ConsenSys Labs is a part of ConsenSys. And so to show the bigger vision of where ConsenSys wants to go and tie that in with ConsenSys Labs is, I think, what I want our leaders to offer as well. And that ties into what you're saying about goals and then setting, like, what does success look like? So right now, we don't, at least in my eyes, we don't know what success looks like because everyone is doing something extremely new. We've never done this in the blockchain space. We're trying to create possibly the first Web 3.0 incubator that offers community experience, programs, services, which isn't any different than what others offer in other spaces, in accelerators and incubators. So what is our value proposition? What are we working towards? And I think more clarity there is definitely needed.
Yeah, and I think that labs is a very specific case in the mesh, because you are clearly every day delivering value to the mesh, and you can see how, using your OKRs, measuring the impact in terms of, your engagements, how far you're getting with your engagements, what you're actually scaffolding and making possible for the different teams in the mesh that you're serving. But what about you internally? What are your internal measures of success? What are your measures of success as operating as a team that is iterating and learning together and being developmental together? I think that there's so many exciting things for the labs team to be doing externally, really taking the time to look a little bit inward about why are we doing this? How are we supporting each other to do this? Are we getting the best of each other? Are we clear on our roles? Are we maximizing our strengths at the same time as setting ourselves developmental goals? Are we bringing our whole selves to this to this opportunity? Are we sharing all our gifts? All of these things, I think, are really fundamentally important to do in those times when you can actually be away from the office, be together, and being able to have that breathing space to do that kind of work.
Yes, yeah, no, absolutely. And I think I'll take all the feedback. I'll send over the recording to you as well, and I'll take the feedback to my team as well. And what we'll do is we'll try to not pack so much stuff in fewer sessions.
Mm-hmm.
We'll make those changes. I'll mention a lot on what measuring success and vision, like clarity and vision, looks like. And I feel like the first day or even the second half of the day, I think it should revolve around how far ConsenSys Labs has come and where our social agreement and really I think really understanding the vision. I think it's just not us also in labs. I mean, having been on a different team in a marketing team as well, and being very external facing, having done that for the company, there always was this lack of clarity on what is our vision, what is the company moving toward. And I think as somebody who's extremely introspective and always thinks about vision and bigger picture, if I can't see the true north, and it's been said, oh, like you should be able to see it, but it has never been created. It hasn't been verbalized. It hasn't been even charts get created or videos get created or our leaders talk about it with a lot of passion and intensity, which leaves the other younger leaders with a place to be like, okay, maybe we yet don't really know but there is the sense of where we're moving towards. Yeah,
and absolutely. And when you're having to be so responsive and things are moving so quickly, to have that North Star that, okay, I'm thinking about this opportunity. How does it align with our North Star? Does it? Great, I can go. If it doesn't, if I'm feeling nervous about it, if I can't quite see the connection, maybe I need to park this and get some advice from somebody else. Maybe we need to just not prioritize this right now. I think that when we're trying to move super fast, having that clarity of what's in and what's out in terms of what our true purpose is or true vision is super important to help us make those decisions.
Yes, absolutely. And I think we don't do well in prioritization at all at ConsenSys, let alone, I think, ConsenSys Labs. ConsenSys Labs tries its best to prioritize. But just personally having been in the team for 3 months, I've seen that things come up and then there's guidance needed from the leaders to say this should be prioritized or not, but it's left to, because we are a decentralized flat organization, it's sort of left to the decisions should be made by you because you're the sub team and you're leading the sub team, but that's not how it is. The decisions needs to be a consensus on if this is a priority for the business, and I think there's lack thereof of being able to have that conversation. And so I think as we unpack this more, we'll really, I think, for each day, be able to offer the right sessions and the right themes. And my hope is to do exactly that with either you or your team. Or I know that I think with Jose and the people team and the Dale Carnegie, they're very specific in their in what they're offering. And I know that you have had just this whole vast experience of the whole experience that we're hoping to offer, and just get right to the point and remove any clutter from this. And so,
yeah, I mean, I think that where you are as a team right now, it's creating the conditions for you to actually understand what you need, rather than to have however well tested and like awesome best practice this is, that you can understand when to maybe bring that in later, and in some case it might be appropriate for this offsite. But I really sense that if you take some time to think about what do you want to be different by the time you leave, and I think you've done a really great job, just even in what I've seen, in creating the arc and the flow of the experience. Like where do we start? Where do we want to be by the end of the first day? What can we then leverage for the second day to kind of bring it to like a focal point before we kind of consolidate things on the third day, so that we can leave in a way that feels like we've actually accomplished something, which is what you said, which I think is spot on.
great. No, that's awesome. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for this insight. I don't think any of the team, like, we were still figuring it out. Yeah, so I think it's a great start for us to do it with this retreat, and then possibly, because labs does add value all the time for the mesh, I want to offer then this as a resource as well. And then what does it mean for it to be self-organizing? I mean, we're doing it internally. We could bring external folks to do it, but I'm hoping to turn a playbook out of it and just create a mini video of what we learned, how we did it, how we utilized our time, how we prioritized this, and what kind of experience we left the team with, and then be able to share it, and then do it better next time.
That's amazing. Just let me know what you need. I'm always happy to be a thinking partner, to challenge, to offer advice, and also to get down to the core design. And if you do choose to use like me or one of my team, we'd be like super stoked to help. So just let me know what you need.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you say that one of your team members, what kind of sessions, or would she facilitate the whole thing and help?
So I would think yes. I would think that somebody to stand by your side, to be that, to allow you to fully participate, but to kind of hold the container for what's happening, I think would be, that would be my recommendation.
Yes, so I think that's something I was seeking and looking for as well, is that we could still let a lot of leaders get up and run sessions and join conversations.
Totally, yeah.
And that's the company we are, but it's great to have somebody who is more experienced in that area, and to be like, hey, well, I noticed how you ran this session, and just jump in when it's needed, because I think that's where learning comes. And I think with me, Ron, or Sean, whoever's leading those sessions, I think we could, while we feel that we're leading or we're trying to give the team something, we can also feel that we're moving towards something and there's improvement coming in. So yeah, I'm really open to that, and I think it's a great idea for one of your team members to be there with us. And yeah, please share this video with your team members, see who would want to join us, and then I'm happy to have a chat with them. By then, I would have cleaned up a lot of the clutter off the vision, and then we'd be able to come redeliver based on the advice that you have given, and then continue working on this.
Fantastic. So ping me the link for this video, and I'll have some conversations, and then I'll make the connection in the next sort of 24 hours.
Wonderful. Yeah, no, thank you so much. It's been so wonderful chatting with you. Please get some rest, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks, Kanwal. See you. Bye.
Bye. Take care.